Today, we blow this team up. I left it up to you guys at the end of the last episode whether or not we look to make some moves and move on from some veterans after a very disappointing 3-4 start to the season. And pretty much overwhelmingly, that was the response, was to go ahead and make said moves. And again, it's frustrating because we're at 3-4. We're not exactly out of it, but I think that's the issue. It hasn't been convincing. The 4 straight losses really put some doubt in mind. And I mean, you look at the Saints, Browns, and Colts games, you know, certain games are okay. Had I not jumped in, what would the record actually be? Time will tell, or it won't tell because we'll never find out. But I think I'm okay with this, with this decision. We're still going to be a decent team. We still could see ourselves in the playoffs. But I think for the future of this team, it probably is for the best. And unfortunately, the real way to look at this is just injuries kind of screwed us. Losing Sony Michel for the season, losing, I mean, granted, he's the only guy left injured, but losing Trent Taylor for a decent part of the season, luck just wasn't on our side, unfortunately. So with that said, let's get down to business, shall we? And start taking a look at how we can blow this team up a little bit. So, quarterback-wise, we're fine. Obviously, Chase Dawson ain't going nowhere. Running back-wise, we're also fine. Harris is cool. Obviously had that breakout moment last episode. Perrine, he's fine. That's nothing. It doesn't really matter. He's a fill-in player. Wideout-wise, we're sticking with who we have. I trust that core to be okay. Although Jakeem Grant at 28, I think I want to get what I can for him, if anything, because we have Equinemius St. Brown. So we'll see what happens there. Tight end-wise, still fine. Not much to do on that front. The O-line is where it does start to get a little bit interesting, though. Shaq Mason's 28. David Andrews is 29. Tooney's 28. It's going to be interesting to see what happens here. Now, the O-line might have to become a little bit more of a focus. I don't plan on getting rid of Shaq Mason right now. I don't plan on getting rid of Joe Tooney, but probably next year, if not the year after. So right now, David Andrews is at risk. As much as that hurts me to say, he is not at risk, however. In comparison to, Devondre Campbell is also up there and could be flipped. Gilmore's the main guy. The secondary in general is where we're going to see quite a few moves. So if we can move Gilmore, we're going to do it. And preferably, now obviously trading to a bad team is the smart move, but when you're talking about a contract like Gilmore's, I'm looking for teams that can afford both, that also have interest in both, and we'll see if that exists. Because right now, it's not looking like it does. Every team we've checked, the AI very good at spending up to the cap, apparently. Very few teams where this is gonna work. If any, actually. Shit, what if we take out Grant? So, I really don't want to trade him back to the Bills. The Cardinals, probably the first team where this is gonna work, and it's kind of perfect. Send him out west. Definitely not trading him to the Dolphins, although getting one of the Dolphins' better picks could be the way to go. I'm thinking it's Arizona, because it's certainly not going to be Baltimore. The Arizona Cardinals are the destination, the landing place for one Mr. Gilmore. Now, when it comes to any players we could pick up in return, this is actually where James White ended up going. That's a pretty good 1-2 punch with him and David Johnson. In terms of options here, do you have anybody interesting on the O-line? Trey Lane, does he have a good dev pattern? He does. Interesting. Very interesting. Trey Lane could be worth picking up, having him be one of the replacement options on the O-line that we look to build up for the rest of the year. And in fairness, outside of Mr. Murphy here, he's the only real guy that I'm interested in. Murphy does have a good dev pattern as well, although Budda Baker could also work. Huh. Funny thing is, they have 3 players I'm interested in. They do. the safeties, or the safety of the corner and the O-lineman. But obviously, I mean, a first-round pick is where this conversation begins. I'm intrigued what 2 first-round picks and Trey Lane looks like. Okay, not even close, which is fine. So now we take out a first, we go back over to the secondary, and again, I don't know how much value he's going to actually have, but we're going to judge it. I like Murphy more. He's cheaper. Let's see what this looks like. Okay, so they really don't want to get rid of Murphy. They really don't want to get rid of Murphy, which isn't surprising. This is unlikely to work out for us. Let's just see where it is with Buddha. They really don't want to move Buddha either. They're okay with moving Lane, though. If we could pick him up, that would be pretty sweet. Let's see what this is. Okay, let's see what this is. Whew. In fairness, his value is not what I was hoping. It really isn't, but the Cardinals are the landing place. I think we could get a better O-lineman than Lane with that draft pick. I mean, 23, 75 stars, not bad. The main thing I want here is the draft pick, for sure. I don't know if we're going to be able to get it, though. It might be too valuable of a draft pick, which is good news for me. What about just that pick? Wow, it's actually going to take Gilmore plus to make that go through. They didn't have interest in Jakeem Grant, but if I can add him to this deal to get this to go through, I'm cool with that. Gilmore and Grant for what is currently the 11th overall pick and a 4th round pick works for me. Frees up a ton of money off the books. We get rid of Gilmore and at least get something for him before he starts to regress. That's not even close. Whew. This is more expensive than I was hoping. But we got to do it. I mean, at the very least, it's a high draft pick. And we're about to get more draft picks anyway. How close does a 5th round pick bring us? What if I take out Jakeem? Alright. I'm thinking it's going to be Gilmore, a 4th and a 5th for a 1st round pick from Arizona. There we go. I love you, Gilmore. Best corner in the league. But the tank, the semi-tank bowl begins. He's on the way out. Let's see what I can get for Jakeem Grant from anybody. It doesn't matter. At least if they can afford him, which there are quite a few teams that cannot. A lot of teams that cannot. Please, I'll even trade on the Baltimore this time, I promise. There's got to be someone where it's like, there's quite a few teams where it's like, okay, we have a little bit of cash. I'll trade on the Buffalo. I don't care. Screw it. Can I get a 2nd round pick for him? Probably not. Pfft, never mind. All right, so Buffalo. I mean, I don't really want to deal with Jakeem Grant, but how about Jakeem and a 6th for a 2nd round pick? Good deal for me. So Jakeem Grant, Stephon Gilmore are the first 2 on the way out. Right now, we're projected to have the 10th and the 11th 1st round picks, overall picks, we should say. So again, we're good there. It's just O-line wise, what do I want to do? And as far as the D-line is concerned, how soon is too soon to move some of these people out? That's the question. Devondre Campbell at 28. Maybe not the worst to move him out. I would like to try and keep the McCourties together because I love them so much. Does anybody have any interest whatsoever, though, in the McCourties? It's not looking good. Okay, the Saints have interest. And it's gonna have to be Nolans. It's gonna have to be. They don't have interest in Devin. They have interest in Jason. But the Saints are gonna have to be the team. How you feeling about a 1st rounder? Holy shit. Well, I guess I could have gotten a little bit more. Probably not that much more because Jason was a 4-star. They valued that pick at a 4-star. I'll take it. We got another 1st round pick for the McCourties. They're off to the Saints. Sad to see them go, but it had to be done. The McCourties are out. We currently have 2 corners on roster. Justin Evans at 26. Crocker fine where he is. I think I'm going to look to move on from Devondre Campbell. Not that I want to have to find a linebacker in the draft. But, if we don't get rid of him this year, we're getting rid of him next year. So it makes sense to make that move now. And again, on the O-line, I think I'm planning moves. The Chargers have space. Let's see. I guess, wow, they're relying on Blake Bortles, huh? Let's see if there is anybody that I am interested in to try and make this work. They have Clements, that ridiculous tight end. You know, if we could pick up Walter Clements, go even younger than who we have now, make a deal, that could work. Like Pouncey's 32, Bowling's 32, so there's no help on the O-line that I'm interested in. Joey Bosa's obviously way too expensive. Jerry Tillery? Normal development. If he had star, I'd actually be pretty interested. Jatavis Brown's not going to work. Donta Hightower, of course, went there. Okay. What's Preston's dev pattern? Sherwin Preston. Normal development for him as well. Adderley. Sorry, I misread that. I'm like, Adley's not right the second I said it. But could pick him up as a safety option. Especially after moving on from McCourty. Let's just see what Adderley in a second looks like. Okay, they really value Adderley. What about just straight up? Not even close. Okay. Adderley was the only player I was really interested in. So what if we go first? That first round pick's probably possible. And we're going to explore that. Now, obviously, we're not going to make all these first round picks. If we have 3, we'll probably trade down a little bit, but that's all right. We'll be dealing from a position of power. So Campbell, a 4th and a 7th for the Chargers first rounder. It's going to take a little bit more than that. Son of a bitch. Didn't mean to do that. Let's see what else we got here. So Campbell, a 4th and a 5th. Does not go through. It might take 2 4th-round picks. So be it. Campbell and 2 4ths for a first. There we go. Thank you very much to the Chargers. Campbell's on the out. And now, who else wants to join them? I still think we can keep Cooper and Taylor and be okay. I'm just wondering about David Andrews. And is he going to start regressing the second he hits 20 or 30 years old, I should say. He's 29 now. Armstead can still fill in and be a decent option for us. So I think it's just, do I want to move on from David Andrews? Which I really don't. I like David Andrews. I'm just worried about regression. I certainly don't want to trade him to Miami. We could trade him to the Giants. Not trading him to the Ravens. Not a chance in hell. So right now the Giants are looking like the potential landing spot. Yep, it's going to be New York if we send him anywhere. Who do they have that I'm potentially interested in is the question. Saquon Barkley is the answer. How close is this? Oh, not at all. What a surprise. What a surprise. Do you have any help there? Evan Ingram doesn't really help the situation too much. The O-line. Will Hernandez, as a younger option, could work. Kevin Zeitler and James Landrum, who we had before. I don't hate the idea of bringing in Hernandez. Actually, I don't hate the idea of bringing in Hernandez and Lawrence and including draft picks, and also, adding Armstead to that deal. I don't hate that at all. They signed Vontaze Perfect. What nerds. Holy hell, Montrell Pippen. Superstar, Jesus. And you thought Hargraves maybe, or Baker. Julian Love's also there. Nicholson and Jabril Peppers, of course. Just for the hell of it. How close is this? Maybe a little bit closer than I thought. How close is the deal for Pippen? Imagine if this goes through straight up. No, it's not going to. But I'm not against looking at the deal for Will Hernandez. And then also looking at Dexter Lawrence. Take Andrews out. Or, not take him out, but then we go Armstead. Safety net this. Money-wise, it's close. Might not be able to do this exactly. I just want to see... Yeah, that would put them over. Who else could I add to this? Who else has a shit contract? Oh, God. Who else has a garbage deal? Spencer Pulley. Is that deal expiring is the question. I wish there was an easier way to check. It is expiring. Cool. What if I add Spencer Pulley? The issue is, though, then I can't get the draft pick that I want. Son of a bitch. Alright, tell you what. We take out Armstead for the moment, but I'll add him back in a minute. It's pretty much the game plan there. How close is this? Close enough, I would say. So, let's go over to draft picks. Let's go with third? Third might actually be too much. But my plan here is obviously just to get younger on both accounts. It might actually take a third, maybe a fourth the next year. Let's see what that looks like. It's going to take a third, which is fine. We'll be able to recoup those later on. So Andrews in a third for Hernandez and Lawrence. It's going to take a little bit extra, which is cool. We'll go with the 6th rounder. So Andrews the 3rd and 6th for Hernandez and Lawrence. It's going to take a 5th round pick as well. That sucks. Andrews a 3rd and a 5th for Hernandez and Lawrence. God damn it. That's going to take a 4th rounder. Gotta love it. Will that go through, please? Oh boy. It's proven to be a little bit more expensive than I was hoping. Alright, we're going with the low end 2nd and a 7th. Seeing what that looks like. Oh, New York, you drive a hard bargain. You really do. Andrews a 2nd and a 6th. Still no. Andrews a 2nd and a 5th for Hernandez and Lawrence. We'll use the 4th the next year. We have that option. As it is, I'm going to recoup a draft pick anyway. Andrews a 2nd and a 3rd for Hernandez and Lawrence. Perfect. And then we look to deal Armstead. Because we can. So I hate to see Andrews go. But it had to happen. Again, much like... Washington's not going to work here, damn it. Much like with Gilmore. It's like, okay, you're still good now. How much longer is that going to last is the problem. The Cardinals, again, work. Dallas works. Maybe look to make a deal with the Cowboys here for Armstead now that we've gotten a little bit younger at that position. And I could have gotten more for it. Shit. That's why you always safety net it. Add a lot more than you think might go through. So we trade Armstead. We do get another 1st round pick for it. So, hey, if you thought I cheesed the Giants AI, well, guess what? Some value was just made up. I don't really care. At the end of the day, we are rocking 5 1st round picks right now. And I think I've moved everybody that I care to move. Unless you were to talk about moving Amari Cooper or Trent Taylor, which I don't know is necessary. The core of this team is still strong enough. And if we're in the same position next year, then Shaq Mason gets dealt and Joe Tooney gets dealt. It's pretty straightforward. I think, this was our way of taking a step back this year, but not completely tanking the team to the point where we're not going to be competitive for the next few years. A strong draft, some additions in free agency, and we're gonna be set. The only concern is that having this many draft picks, the free agent period could be affected because of the the cap that's going to be set aside dedicated to those picks. But at the end of the day, we're not going to be making all those selections anyway. So I think we're good. We just need to fix up this roster from here. So again, quarterback-wise, we are good to go. Running back-wise, Sony's still hurt, so we're fine there. Fullbacks are good. Wideout-wise, we are good. And do I want to carry 6? I don't. We're going to cut Sherfield and keep Equinemius because it's Equifrickin-nemius, that's why. Could bring in, and probably will look to bring in, a better QB just in case of injury. It'll be worth spending the extra money there. Running back, we're fine. Wide out, we're fine. Tight end, we're fine. The O-line, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I do need to move somebody to center, just so it doesn't auto-sign somebody. And Froholt, you are the sacrifice. So, I mean, let's see, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. That's good. I mean, we don't really need too much depth there. Otherwise, defensive tackles now with Dexter Lawrence and Clinton Tuck, looking pretty good. Linebackers, still looking good. Corners, though, yeah, that's a bit of an issue. We're going to sign about 3 corners. And then safety-wise, still sign a safety. But, of course, now, as we talked about, choice will get to play quite a bit. So we are going to have to bring in a little bit more depth than what I just mentioned. But that's okay. So quarterback-wise, let's bring in Dakota Chase again, who we had at the beginning of the year. We'll sign him for the rest of the season. We'll go over to corners and bring in the best dudes that we can. Yeah, screw it if they're not even scheme fits. So Shavarius Ward will be signed for the rest of the year. Tease Tabor will be signed as well. And I guess we'll go with Sam Beal. His practice squad stealing is not currently on. And then for safeties, Cravens. Let's go for him. Why not? So how many people does that bring us up to? We need 2 players. Let's go for a random O-lineman and I guess another wideout. We can bring back another dude. And it might as well be Sherfield, because we know he's a scheme fit. Screw it, we cut him, only to bring him right back. And then on the O-line, 61, 68, but he's not signable. 62, 62, and a 65. Is there anybody who's actually signable here? It's not looking like it because of all these damn practice squad guys. Rod Johnson. What a name. Bring him in, and that sets us up. Still rocking an 83 offense, which is kind of crazy. Let's see if we auto-reorder the depth chart here. Dawson, again, Harris, still the main running back for the moment, for the next 5 weeks. Wideout-wise, still pretty damn stacked. Tight end still looking good. So the O-line is going to be Wynn, Tooney. Obviously not Froholt. Actually, I'm intrigued here. Because Shaq Mason is the top option, then Tooney. Landry. And then, of course, Young's going to be playing at right tackle. So Landry... Actually, did I make a mistake by bringing in Hernandez? I guess I did. I kind of forgot about Landry. So, I mean, if I wanted to... You know, maybe now we trade Tooney and Shaq Mason. Maybe now we move on from them and bring in another younger guy. And then that way we just get to keep Will Hernandez and we bring in one more O-lineman to develop. I forgot all about Landry. So, shit, I mean, I was thinking of moving on from him next year anyway. It just depends on if there's anybody with space to make this happen that isn't a direct rival. The Cardinals aren't interested, which is a shame. Dolphins, but of course I don't really want that to happen, although taking a draft pick from them could work out pretty well. Baltimore can kick rocks. Alright, is there a team where it's at least close? Denver was at 2. San Fran at 3. The Giants at 3. The Broncos might be my best bet here for this to work. Actually, no, wait, it was the Browns. Cleveland Browns at 2. Still not ideal, but it could work. Question is, do you have anybody that I'm interested in? Or would this would be where I'm relying on decent returns. How close is it for Myles Garrett? Just for the memes, just for the culture. It's a bit too far, I'd say. I mean, this would certainly make Cleveland a little bit better in the short term, but it could have some effects long term. Now, picking up Greedy Williams here would be amazing. Probably a bit out of the realm of possibility, though. But just... they would be over the cap. Okay, I have an option to either move an O-lineman, one O-lineman, and just make the best of it, or try to move Mason and Tooney now. You know, the issue is Mason and Tooney are a bit more difficult to move than Will Hernandez, who would be the odd man out behind Young and Landry. Oh, God. And then there's also Isaiah Wynn, who we still want to try to build up as well. Shaq Mason still has 2 good years in him. Maybe more. That's a tough one. It's tough to give up on 2 star guards, but I feel like we have to just because the money isn't there to move them right now. Hernandez is going to be much, much easier to move. And that is indeed the case. A lot more options on where to move them. Maybe we move them to San Fran. They need a center. And this could be where we pick up just another draft pick. Continue to stock up. What about just that first? I mean, hey, if we can turn it into another first, again, this could very much limit our ability to do what we want to do in terms of free agency, but we are going to have control of the draft board and be able to get whoever the hell we want in this draft next year and probably the one afterwards. All right, it's going to take a 3rd rounder. But Hernandez, a 3rd rounder next year. And a decent pick this year. Let's go with that 5th. It might take a 4th next year. I can't believe that didn't go through. It's insulting. So let's go with Hernandez, a 3rd and a 4th. Let me see if I can add a 7th just to stick it to him for trying to get that 4th instead of taking the 5th. I can't believe them. Please let that go through. How is that worth less than the 5th was? That doesn't make any sense. All right, you know what, San Fran, you can kick rocks. I guess you don't need a center that badly if you're trying outright extortion to try and make this happen. Green Bay. Green Bay. How's that? Okay, it's a later 1st round pick. Hernandez will be happy about going to a team of this caliber. What does a 1st and a 3rd look like? What does just the 1st look like? Okay, so again, we're going to have to give up a little bit. Let's go with that 5th and that 4th. And there we go. So Will Hernandez has been dealt. Just an oversight on my part. But right now, there aren't enough teams with cap space to pull off trading either Shaq Mason or Joe Tooney. There just isn't. So let's sign Joey Hunt for the hell of it. He'll help round out this roster. And the wheeling and dealing hath commenced. Or ended. Commenced? Yeah, no. Jesus, I need to go to bed. I need sleep. So Isaiah Wynn still at left tackle. We're going to have Tooney at guard. Center is going to be Landry. And we'll play Shaq Mason at right guard still. And then Kerry Young gets to play at right tackle. Defensive line. Barnett, of course, next to Lawson. And we'll still get Winovich to be able to play whenever he can. Defensive tackle, it's going to be Tuck still, though, over Lawrence, but a good 1-2 punch there. Linebacker, Abukum, of course. I might reorder this a little bit. And yeah, we're going to have to because the outside linebacker on that side is just a little bit weak. So we'll have to reorder this, but you get the point over who we have. And corner-wise, it's definitely weak, but a chance for J.C. Jackson and Joanne Williams to step up, and Reggie Choice as well will get a decent opportunity to play over the next few weeks. I would say this team has successfully been demolished.